Like the go live delay.
Indeed. What's up, ladies and germs? These are the intelligent hoodlums. I'm here with the ever-present webs, and we're going to talk a little bit about mastering this monster that's called Canvas webs. Lots of fun times in Vegas with Canvas. Lots of interesting things that have happened.
I mean, fun times is one way to put it.
I mean, it has been fun, right? I mean, people have said some things. People have tweeted things. People have Facebook things.
uh, as a heads up, our Facebook still says the distance learning mini con is live.
I mean, it is what it is, Holmes. It's always mini cons, man. Everything's a mini con. It's all good.
Everything's a mini con.
Anything's a mini con. I just didn't change that. My bad. People who are expecting a mini con, we were talking Canvas, Holmes. What's good? What's good, Billy? Um, like so in terms of just how things are going to roll tonight, webs, like again in Vegas, and this might be a national thing as well. Like Canvas was kind of sprung on people, like surprise boogeyman. And I think that there are a lot of teachers who are like looking for a little bit of direction, and we've seen those in Facebook groups and you know Twitter, etc. And so we're going to kind of create a scenario here for the next 5 nights with just some simple ways that you can integrate some pretty dynamic and powerful processes into your Canvas course, with hopefully without driving yourself absolutely insane before you start teaching your kids. So we're going to call this Pennies for Picasso because it's going to be about artwork in general, how to add images and all that kind of cool stuff to it. We'll dive into a little bit about copyright. We're going to dive in a little bit into about accessibility as well. We have our resident software engineer-ish type person who's going to lead us through that kind of situation. So we'll have that deal there as well. All right. So Webs,
Yes.
who are we, man? Who are we?
I am Webbs, one half of the Intelligent Hoodlums, and my present role is as a software developer. However, I spent 9 years as a classroom teacher, working in grades 2 through 5 as a classroom teacher. I also was a digital learning coach, which is how we met. I wrote curriculum for a little bit and then went back into the classroom for my last year before making that switch over to software development. And my focus now is bringing education things to the world of tech and world of tech things into education.
Word, word, word. So my homie
He's the
Webs,
other half of the Intelligent Hoodlums, Mike.
indeed. I'm still in the classroom, and she's left the little people behind, so it's all good though. I am a tech instructor in Las Vegas, Nevada. K5. I've got 800 of the greatest students the world's ever seen that help me create pure insanity on a daily basis. We're going to make even more insane things as we are doing the distance deal. Really excited to get that popped off, and really excited to kind of work through the next kind of hour-ish of ideas and throwing ideas. If you're out here, you've got ideas, throw things in the chat. If you're on YouTube, great. On Facebook, great. If you're on Twitter, shout out to all the homies that are watching this. All the other like ADEs. I see couple of ADEs on the in the chat that's already showed love. We're going to kind of have some fun, kind of experiment. If you have ideas, things that work for you, please throw them in the chat. Share them with people. We got questions and whatnot. Throw them in the chat. We'll kind of banty those around until we get those answered for you. So the hustle for the night. 4 parts. All right. First, accessibility. All right. Everything begins with that. How do you make your images and your ideas accessible for all of your learners, not just your normal standard learner in your class? Finding art. Where can I find some art that's going to be copyright free? That I don't have to worry about the fact that I've stolen something from the internet. Slide cubes, kind of slide decks. What would you say, Webs?
I said we don't want that. We want to
Yeah.
avoid stealing things.
And we also want to avoid our students stealing things as well, right?
Yeah.
Kind of showing them that there are other ways to acquire artwork from on the internet. Slide cubes, and kind of Picasso. We're going through the Cubist period of the Cubism period of Picasso's life. Using slide decks as artwork, so just not as presentation pieces, but how can we put artwork and integrate artwork into those deals? And then taking all those ideas together and saying how we can use all the artwork we found to put those things into tables. And the tables are kind of generally the way that you're going to be constructing your pages in Canvas. You can just put free floating art into your page, but tables is a great way, a great strategy, and we'll kind of look at how to do that at the end. So we're going to kind of go through all the resources, and then we're going to bring all those resources to Canvas at the very end. This will be, again, it's only going to be on YouTube, so you can check out our YouTube channel if you want to go rewatch this deal later on. You're going to take notes. God bless you. We're also going to share a link to a Wakelet that's going to have all of the resources we have today in one spot, so you can kind of rock and roll with that as well. All right. So let's kind of start at the beginning, Webs.
Yes.
What does accessibility mean, and why is this deal important?
So first, I'm going to give a shout out to Valerie Roski, who is a software developer friend of mine that we talked to during VirtualCon. You can still go to summit.virtualcon.com and watch her talk. It's also, I think, on our Facebook page. It's not on our YouTube page, but anyway, she really delved deep into the importance of accessibility. And as a rough definition, accessibility basically means making information available to everyone. So one thing I thought was particularly powerful about what she talked about was this idea that accessibility and having things be accessible, it's related to disability, right? So if I have some sort of a disability, whether that disability is a permanent one, if it's a situational one, if it's a temporary one, I should still have access to that same information. And sometimes unintentionally, we create design that gets in the way of that information. And so I think it's especially very easy to fall into that trap when you are a teacher who now has the title of web designer. As far as practical things with regard to accessibility, thinking about things like colors, the colors that you select for your, if you're designing a Canvas course, if you're setting up a Google website, making sure that the colors that you're choosing aren't like yellow on white, making sure that they're high contrast. And I believe somewhere you shared a link to Adobe has a really good color picker for helping you pick high contrast colors. We also shared earlier in the week, or maybe it was last week, a PDF from some government organization in the UK. I can't remember it off the top of my head now, where it walked through like several different disabilities and things you want to consider when you're designing for that particular disability, including, I think, visual impairments. So that's one place to start, is with the color palette. I think another thing is keeping things simple. So if you have a very busy, a lot going on, it can be very difficult for anyone to move from item to item or know what direction they're supposed to go in. I know also we shared, there's a book called The Non-Designer's Design Book by Robin Williams. And so making sure that you're thoughtful about how you're guiding someone's eye through your page or your website or whatever it is, and trying to keep things all in one place. That's another kind of common theme that we've talked about. What was the other thing is thinking about creating buttons. So a lot of people will use a screen reader. And if you have a Mac, there is actually a screen reader built into the accessibility function. If you don't, there's an extension for Chrome, and probably for Firefox as well, called Chromevox, Chromevox, that will give you the ability to use a screen reader. Or built into Canvas, you also have the, what's it called?
Immersive reader.
Immersive reader, thank you. That will actually read through all the text on your screen. One of the gotchas to look for is sometimes you'll screen capture text. And if you screen capture text, it won't get read by the screen reader. It'll be thought of as an image. So as someone who has vision that is fine and doesn't have any of those hurdles in my way, I will be able to read the words just fine. But for someone who's using a screen reader, it won't catch those words because it's considered an image. So that's another kind of gotcha thing, where those of us who don't have that hurdle, we have to be cognizant of, hey, this is a challenge that some other folks might have. And if I'm using a screen reader, I won't be able to access that. The same way, even if I'm an English learner or a parent who's trying to navigate the text of a page, it won't catch that text that's in that button or in that image that you've screen captured because it's not reading it as text. It's thinking of it as a picture. Um, Having alternative captions or ARIA labels on buttons and on images. So particularly alternative captions for images, that's something I know that's built into Canvas as well. Making sure that you describe what's in the picture. I think the default is to just call it the name of the image .png or .jpg, but making sure you go in and do those alternative descriptions because folks who use a screen reader will rely on those descriptions to understand what images are on the page. I've seen a lot of really cool looking pages that have like lots of buttons and picture buttons, but be aware that you want to make sure that those can be caught by a screen reader. So getting something like Chromevox or using accessibility within like an Apple device is going to help make sure that people who are using those things can actually navigate. Also, a colleague of mine showed me an extension called, I think it's called No Caffeine or No Coffee. It's a vision simulator that will actually, like, you can adjust different things. So if folks need something high contrast, you can simulate what your page would look like with when they need high contrast and know if your colors are high contrast enough. You can simulate things like partial vision, vision blockages, floaters, all kinds of stuff with vision challenges. So yeah, it's called No Coffee. It's an extension, I think, for both Chrome and for Firefox. So that's a few different things to think about when it comes to accessibility.
Word. And we're not Bitmoji classroom haters. We just,
No.
we just need to make sure that if you're using Bitmoji classrooms, you're very aware that their screen readers might not be able to ensure that your Bitmoji classroom is enjoyed by everyone that you're teaching.
And one of the things that we talked about with Valerie, she mentioned that we think of this as, oh, it's just a small subset of folks that this impacts. Another thing that we've been working really hard to have is closed captioning on all the presentations that we do. So there should be closed captioning on this. That was the whole reason we moved over to Skype. But making sure that if you have a Bitmoji classroom, if you leave it as a slides presentation, it's more navigable than if you turn it into like a PDF or something. And again, thinking about if you're going to screen capture text, that's going to be challenging because screen readers won't catch screen captured images of text. So yeah.
Facts. And so Webb's referred to the Adobe tool. So Adobe Color is there. It is free for you to navigate. You'll notice up in the top right hand corner up here, there is a colorblind safe. It'll show you, hey, if I'm blue-green colorblind, I can kind of deal with it. There's a tour also that will go and deal with potential conflicts and whatnot if you're talking about choosing colors and dealing with things like that. So this is a tool that does all this for you for free. All right, totally free, and it's inside of our the little wakelet that we'll shoot to you. So if you don't catch the URL, totally cool. It's there. It's really awesome to kind of stop playing around with it, and you'll see how that turns to no conflicts. All right, that swatch is colorblind safe right now. So if I were to use these, and these are the hex codes underneath there, and you do, I believe, have the ability to put the hex codes into Canvas inside of tables. So if you want to use those for backgrounds and things like that, you can do those, and this will be colorblind safe for someone, and it gives you that automatically. All you need to do is move.
I would also highly recommend if you're going to use a tool like Color and you come up with a color palette that you want to use, and I would maybe shy away from the whole rainbow color palette because that can be rather difficult, but save that color palette so you can reference those hex codes all the time. Because when you realize it's there, you'll see lots of opportunities to inject hex codes, and that's just the little hashtag with 6 alphanumeric characters after it. I think they range from like 1 to 6 and A to F, or 0. I'm sorry, 0 to 6 and A to F. That will be like your code for that particular color. And once you have that set, just like what I'll do with ours, like we have an Intelligent Hoodlums like color palette. you can screenshot it, and then you have those hex codes, or if you want to set up an Adobe account, you can save it to your account, and then you can always reference back to it, and that way you're not trying to, what color did I use? How do I get back to it? Is this color safe? Once you settle on a high contrast color palette, you'll have it set, and you can just keep using that same color palette over and over again.
So like she was saying, I can save this to my Adobe account and say, okay, cool, this is my, I can call it what I want. I'm going to call it my colorblind save theme, just like they have that. And I hit the save button, and now that's saved into my library. So I don't have to do that again if I want to find other ways that we can get that done. So that's kind of looking at that particular tool. WebAIM is another one for looking at visual contrast and whatnot. It's also free. And you can kind of play around with and it tells you if it passes or fails, determining by, you can add different foreground colors and background colors. So again, when you're building your any content, anything, Bitmoji classrooms, just regular buttons on your Canvas course or whatever, it's good to
regular presentations.
Good to go here and see, do I get all the passing ratings in all those areas in terms of using those hex codes for both my foreground and my background. So WebAIM is a really cool tool also that is totally free.
We've also, when we focus a lot on the visual aspect, because this medium of digital learning is so highly visual, another area to think about is auditory. So making sure to provide either some sort of a transcript of whatever it is you're presenting, or using a tool that closed captions for you. One of those is Google Slides. You can turn on closed captioning so that as you're presenting, it'll provide text underneath. This is also great for English learners, so they can see the words as you're saying them. Something that you cannot do in a traditional classroom that remote learning actually has a huge advantage on. Also, providing it, if you can't do live, like closed captions, then providing a transcript after is helpful. I think that's something we talked about with Valerie as well. One kind of easy way to do that is you can always just set your device, like your phone or something, to record you as you're talking. You may have to go back and edit it, but then you'll have a document or a note that has that transcript for you, and you just have to go back and edit it a little bit. And that way you can share that with your students as well, so that if they want to go back and read through what you said or whatever, like, it's there for them.
Well, Ava is another tool that Webbs had used and kind of introduced me to Ava. We used that for our little 2-day conference, and it worked pretty well. So Ava is also a free way you can do that. It's 40 minutes for free, and you just have to restart the session once you get to the 40 minutes and be cognizant of it. So that's another for our hearing impaired students. Great way. It's also, again, it's like closed captioning. I cannot watch television anymore without closed captioning. I like reading the words. I like you can see the words on the screen before the person says them, so you can say, oh my God, I know who killed Bob or whatever. He just told me. I found out 5 seconds before he said it. Anyway, that's the visual arts what we're talking about. But you also, again, have the ability inside of Canvas to record your voice. So if that was an issue, so if you had someone who, again, had some visual impairments but needed to hear with your teacher voice instructions or anything like that, there's the ability to put yourself in that position as well. We'll kind of do that on our way to the tables as well. All right, anything else, Webbs?
I think that covers basically anything. Are there any questions? That's what I would want to know from folks. Like, if you want to comment with a question, feel free to jump in. If there's something you want to know more about, feel free to do that as well. You can always, if you're watching this later, post a comment either on the video or wherever, and we'll follow up with it.
Indeed. So those are two great visual tools that will allow you to check for the visual accessibility of your design. So where can you get stuff for free 99 that's not going to come back and haunt you by the copyright demons? So first, you got Pexels, and Pexels is not my favorite place to go, but it's there. It's free. You've got videos and stuff in there. All their pictures are pretty dynamic and nice and whatnot. I don't know. They get a little racy sometimes, as you can see. So that might be a reason to not utilize this in your classroom, but they do have videos inside here. Not my favorite place to get stock video either. I'll show you my favorite place of all the places in just a second. But really cool place to take stuff, get it copyright free, have kids. If you're going to have kids build multimedia projects, you're going to have kids build slide decks, any of those things, this is where you can get stuff for free. That's just pexels.com.
You could also decide that maybe this is a place that you go to look for resources, and it's not necessarily something you use with your students, depending on what level your students are and what types of students you're working with. You may use another resource, not find exactly what you need, and go to Pexels because they may have what you're looking for. So it is a resource to keep in your back pocket, even if you may not use it all the time. Just bookmark it, and it's there.
Absolutely. Unsplash is built into Canvas. So there is the ability to not have to visit the Unsplash website. But again, if you're someone who's watching this and you're not a Canvas user, great. Unsplash is the number one, in my opinion, place to get high quality images for anything, really. You don't have to create, you can create an account if you'd like. You don't have to create an account if you don't want to. One of the things that's really cool as a project with your students, if you are if you have iPads, there are two Unsplash apps. There's one to access Unsplash, and there's another to upload pictures to Unsplash. One really cool thing to do would be to have your students be photographers in their neighborhood and kind of capture pieces of their life and whatnot, and upload those to Unsplash and kind of I took some photos. Let me put some photos back that people might want to utilize. The iPad's camera is good enough to be able to do some very, very cool things. Tools like Snapseed or even just the native editing software on your iPad is going to give you a really great opportunity to hone in those editing skills as well. And those things, I have a couple kids, fifth graders going to middle school, who had their own Unsplash channels where they took pictures and upload those things as well. We did a lot of photography in our garden. So if you've got a garden in your neighborhood, that's the other thing that I kind of thought would be a cool project. If kids living around the neighborhood school, going around and taking pictures of like how school is different now, like the first day of school, going and seeing what the empty school looks like, the empty garden looks like, and then kind of like doing a 180-day project where they go every day to the schoolhouse and take a picture of different parts. I think it would be an interesting project, but I digress. Now, so that's Unsplash, totally free, doesn't cost you anything. You can take it and do what you wish with it, download the photographs. There is a benefit to having an account because you then can create folders for all of your resources and do what you need to do. Anything to add, Webbs?
No, I'm good.
All right. My favorite of all multimedia for free, copyright free hustles is Mixkit. It's the greatest of all time. There's no one can change my mind at all about this because it's like the rebel of all of them. And I really like that. So Mixkit used to do just photos, and they kind of branched away from photos, but you'll see they have stock video clips that are high quality clips, really, really cool clips. They have stock music. So if you're looking for music for your projects as well, you can take music from Mixkit without the need to worry about copyright and utilize those in your projects. And they also have video templates. So if you're someone who uses Premiere, they have some Premiere templates and some really cool, really high quality stuff. Like this is not like garbage time stuff. Really, really cool stuff that all you have to do is download and have Adobe Premiere, but like slick stuff, stuff that you would pay an arm and a leg for other places. So if you do have a high school program probably that has Adobe Creative Cloud with Premiere, this is a place you can go and steal some of your, not steal, but utilize some of your the templates for Premiere for free $99. And all of those things are there. This is my all-time favorite. If I just need to shoot like a really quick little video for kids and I want something really, really dope to be in there, some kind of weird, like this guy looks like he's having fun. Bada bing, that looks like the lick right there. Putting that down, we're gonna do like a little video type deal inside there that can also be put into Canvas as well, and we'll kind of show you how to do that in just a moment. But all those things, this is a great place to, if you're want to be creative quickly, go and borrow. Anything to add, Webbs?
No.
All right, awesome.
Oh, I will say with Unsplash, I don't think you said this, but like it does ask if you're going to use the images to give credit to the artist or the person who took the picture, and they make it super easy. So it just pops up and says copy. You hit the copy button and you just add it to your slide or wherever you're using it, so that you can give that person credit for using their image.
Absolute facts. Absolute facts. The other thing that I've always kind of struggled with kids using computers because we didn't have Adobe products is editing those pictures, right? And kind of going, kind of playing around with the editing on the computer. There's tons of stuff that you can use, but Photopea is a web-based video editor that if you were going to be using Chromebooks, like a lot of our students are going to be utilizing, Photopea is free. It's Photoshop-ish type tool. It will let you use Photoshop files, Adobe XD files, any sketch files, PDFs, any raw film there, and any of those types of files. So SVGs, TIFFs, PNGs, JPEGs, GIFs, or TGAs. You can throw them in there and the kids can play around with editing that way. This is one of the tools that I showed the first graders and the kindergartners because they're like, I know they have no idea what they're doing, and that's the whole point. They'll throw a picture in there and start, erasing stuff and typing all over the face and stuff, and we'll get this like really grungy stuff. It's a great tool. Doesn't cost anything. It's on the web, and it's also a tool again that works on Chromebooks without you having to download anything or adding any extensions or anything like that. There is no, you don't have to have an account or anything. You can download the PNG or the SVG when you're finished with it. Great product.
I think that just to like get a higher level view real quick, something that this particular style of teaching and learning offers that I think we don't get as much when we're in person is that asynchronous piece of being able to give a kid a larger assignment and say, hey, I want you to reach these goals, and let them figure it out on their own. Like what the final product is shouldn't matter as long as they met the, hey, I want you to tell me, 3 facts about Edgar Allan Poe and translate that into some sort of like creative output. That could be a music playlist. That could be a video. It could be a slide deck. It could be a clips video if you're working with like iOS devices. So there is a lot of potential here to be able to not just do the, hey, this is, your ELA lesson for Monday, this is your math lesson for Tuesday, but blend those things together, hit all of your standards, and do it in such a way that becomes meaningful. Because we used to have a captive audience, right? Like kids couldn't get up and just walk out of class. I mean, some did, but now they can physically decide to get up and leave the screen and not participate. So I think it's incumbent on the teachers to like make that something that and I know that I'm speaking, if I were in the classroom, that would be my thought, is like, I need to make this as enticing as possible so that they want to come back every day, so that they want to continue to be engaged. And I think creativity is the route to go when it comes to like how to do that.
Facts.
What do you think, Mike? You are in the classroom. You are practicing every day. Am I talking crazy?
My philosophy with this hustle is straight up like, this is fun. Like, this is fun time. And this is fun time in terms of less Mr. Lang and more little kids like figuring out, this is our problem. I'm going to give you a set of tools. If you want to use those tools, great. If you don't want to use those tools, that's cool as well. And let's meet up in an hour and see what people came up with. And kind of, you could really be iterative here, right? You could really be, does that solve our problem?
Define iterative, because I think we use that term a lot. It is something that's common to software development, but there may be folks out there that this is the first time they're hearing that word. What does being iterative mean?
Continuing the cycle of creation until we solve the problem, right? And even when we solve the problem, there may be better ways to solve the problem even when so again, look at your favorite apps on your phone, right? Your favorite app on your phone might be awesome and dope and incredibly, amazing right now. And then somebody suggests something from the community that says, hey, what if you did this? Oh my gosh, that makes something awesome even more awesome. And that solves another problem, the problem that we didn't think we had. And perhaps this, so I think having kids have the ability to collaborate without any right now they have no walls, right? I could collaborate between classes, between schools, between kids in another country, etc. We could create these super classrooms in which a lot of really crazy, amazing things can happen. And I just, my hope is that people don't limit themselves to the individuals that are on their school roster. I think that would be like that'd be a waste of a great opportunity. So I'm telling you right now, anybody watching this that wants to collaborate or whatever, holla at me. Especially CCSD people, all my ADs all over the world and whatnot. This is like go time. We have no borders. time isn't really a factor here because we could leave something in a Google Drive and come back and pick it up or whatever. So I think there's an opportunity for us to be very very creative in this scenario, given these scenarios, and not keep it simple, right? Creative doesn't mean complex, and I think that's another thing, Webs, that we get this. We kind of have this distortion here that it has to be do all these things. No, there's some very creative things that are very very simple solutions to problems, and so that's what we're going to kind of show you here at the end here. Like, it doesn't have to be 75 buttons that all go to different. It could just be really clean and really really dope. Go ahead.
I think going back to the iterating idea as well, you can apply that to your Canvas class. So start out with something basic, then get your students' input, get your parents' input. Does this work for you? Does this make sense? Is it easy to navigate? Ask for that feedback and use that as a mechanism to improve your classroom. It's very easy to, as the person creating it, say this is what I like, but you're not really building it for you. I mean, you are to a certain extent, but mostly you're building it so that your students have a space that they can easily navigate, and so that you're not unintentionally putting up those barriers to learning. So don't hesitate to iterate. I think I just came up with a new catchphrase. Don't hesitate to iterate on your classroom as well and get that feedback and bring it in. And don't think of it as I get my classroom all set up and I'm done. Like, you can come back to it and improve on it and figure, oh, this doesn't work, I'm going to get rid of that. This is too much, I need to get rid of that. But, oh, I like this idea, I'm going to bring this in. And really focusing on your classroom as a product that is for your students and parents, rather than something that, like, it's cool as a way for you to express yourself, but also really in the end, the person that it's for, the people that it's for, are the parents and students.
And Canvas does do a good job of, if you change things, it lets the users of your course know this is just in change. It changes it, and we keep on going like that was how it was the entire time. So that is something that's really dynamic and cool about Canvas. All right, so not only are Canvas, can we go and find pictures from other places, like you've got slide decks, right? And slide decks are art, or they can be art. All right. It doesn't have to be a scenario in which I just put a bunch of text all on a sheet of paper or on a slide deck, right? So you can come and you can build inside of your slide deck really, really kind of dope, uses of shapes, of colors, of shades, of all kind of stuff, right? It doesn't have to be, I keep the text minimal on the slide decks generally, especially if you're going to talk. There's no reason for you to like have 3 paragraphs on this. Just keep it really real, keep it really to the point, and like make it pretty. That is one thing I do think, that there's templates out there. Even if you're not somebody who's just personally a creative person, Slides Mania, Slides Carnival. There are a lot of products that we're going to go through right now that will make your slide deck pretty for you. Like, you don't even have to. All you need to have is bring the information, and it will make the slide deck pretty for you. So go that extra mile. Make it attractive for me to say, oh my God, my teacher is just like this magician. She's a magician with this thing, and all you did was take a template and put your information inside there, right? So Google Slides does have their templates. When you go back to your slide deck here, just have your templates at the very top. So you've got all that stuff here. So if you just want to, again, drop your stuff inside there, that's awesome. But Slides Mania, again, it's a great tool. She gives all her things. I believe everything on her site is free. And so
do not steal it and resell it.
Please,
that's not cool.
That's not cool at all. But
that was the thing that happened over the summer.
She's got plenty of weekly planners to give the kids with all your assignments already built into it. Yearly planners if you want to plan online inside your Google Slides. And this is Google Slides, so it's not going to be it's going to be living online, so you can change it whatever you want. And if you embed one of these slide decks into your your Canvas course, any changes you make is going to automatically be made inside of your course as well. So that's another advantage of doing Google Slides. Go ahead, Webs.
So something I've thought about from a software developer perspective is, when you see a website that generates like pages that are similar but slightly different, like maybe you have a page for each day or something, that's being done automatically. It's string interpolation. It just takes the day and inserts it where it needs to go and generates a new template and calls it a day. seen a lot of like manual, like the calendar, and then there's a page for each day of the calendar for the week. Think about how that scales. So, are you going to do 180 pages to cover the whole school year? Because that's a lot of work. Maybe think in bigger chunks, like a week at a time or a couple weeks at a time, because I think you're going to burn out really quickly trying to generate a new page for every single day of the week. And we don't want that.
Facts. And again, my K through 5 educators are watching. You don't have to use Canvas for your content. You can use Google Classroom for your content. So you do not have to use, if you look at, I think it's the page 9 of the little document, we're talking CCSD specific here, all you have to do is use Canvas for parent communication. You do not need to use Canvas for content. So Google Classroom, to me, for our K-5 kids, is going to be a lot easier for you to deal with at the beginning of the school year, and then ramp up your Canvas skills as you go by, or go through the school year, rather than trying to shoehorn that, like kind of what Webb's saying, these buttons and stuff. A Google slideshow like this already has the days of the week built into it, right? I can go and I can add whatever assignments I need to place inside there right there. She shows you how to do it. It's really dope. And if you can put that right on your Canvas page and say, this is what we're doing this week, Bob, great. It's already there. We're good with it. And those could be links back to your Google Classroom. Those could be links to your Nearpods, whatever it is. Work a lot smarter than trying to build a bunch of buttons to link to 55 billion pages. Because if you forget one day, you're in the dump, right? You're going to be screwed over. You get tired, you get overwhelmed, and now you have to rework this process. That's also, think about your users. We're used to this process, Miss So-and-so, of you putting the buttons at the bottom every day, and that gets too overwhelming. Especially if you're talking about kinders and first grade people who are like, these are people who are going to be newer to school. That might be a problem going forward.
I think you pointed something out really important the other day. We were working with some teachers, and you mentioned the model that a lot of us are familiar with as adults in terms of the calendar, abbreviating the calendar days M, T, W, TH or H, and then F. If I'm a little coming to school for the first time and I'm not literate, or I'm a second language learner and I'm not literate in what those days of the week are, that doesn't hold any meaning for me. Like an M, I don't even know what an M is. I haven't learned my letters yet. So having that set up on your page isn't necessarily intuitive for a student who's either non-literate, literate light, or someone who doesn't know their letters yet. Like that as an adult makes sense to us. But thinking from the perspective again of your user, of the person that's working their way through your classroom, those letters hold no meaning.
Facts. All right, so one of the quick tricks with Google Slides, and we're just going to set this up so when we go to our tables, we're good to go, is I want to take this from here and I want to have the ability to forever edit this thing inside my Canvas course. And it's like a really, really straightforward process. I go to File, I go to Publish to the Web. So File, Publish to the Web. I click Publish to the Web. I'm going to go to the Embed section that's here. I can make it whatever size I would like. I'm going to keep it medium. I can auto advance the slides if I would like every second. What I usually go to every minute. That way, it kind of, if a kid needs to tarry on a slide for a while, it's not going to force you to the next slide. Great. You can add those. I usually don't. I kind of show kids, hey, this is the play button at the bottom. You can go through it when you need to and hit the publish button. It's going to ask me, yo, do you want to publish it? Yep, I want to publish it. It's going to give me my nice HTML code there, right? And all I need to do is copy that. So another really cool tool for slide, that web-based slide creation is Ludus. And Ludus is, there are a lot of reasons why I like Ludus. Partially because very few people use Ludus, and it kind of like, oh, I'm in this exclusive class of people that use it. But also because of the facts of all the things that are built into Ludus. So I'll go ahead and escape that. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Get out of my deal here. Oh, I always forget about that. You can embed YouTube videos native. Any GIFs are embedded native as well. My pictures are taking a while to load for some strange reason. Why are you doing that? There we go. Really, really cool stuff. A lot of my 5th grade students use Ludus. When it first came out as an app, I was kind of on the bandwagon for it because it was just an amazing, amazing tool. But I like the fact that gifts are there and the gifts are easy to put in without me having to go anywhere else. Really, it's a great tool. Now, in terms of building these really quickly, that's why I don't want to confirm payment. Still one of these. All right, cool. If I go into any of my projects here, let me see if it gives me my... Okay, we have a problem here. I've run out my limit. So this is the problem with like free stuff here. I can go in, I'm going to see these are all things I've used. Like this one, for some reason, got 478 people like that for some strange reason. I don't know why that was a deal. But my trial is expired. You have 3 free. I ended up like talking them into 10 free, I believe. So I am done with it. But Ludus is a really cool, it's a really cool web-based one to deal with, and it also has the ability to embed wherever you would like it to embed. So start a free account on Ludus. Tell them that you're a teacher. They may give you 10. Did they give it? Yeah. You can create a team on top of there as well, so Ludus is there. The other one that I use quite a bit for my lesson plans is SlideBean. In SlideBean, there was an initial cost or whatever, but I kind of play around with SlideBean quite a bit. I like it a lot because, again, I can track my users easily through this. So if especially if you're talking about your asynchronous learning, you want to make sure the kids are actually watching your slide decks. Being able to track the progress is kind of important. You can edit it. We do have expert help there. You can play it, but you can also export it as images and embed it. So the same way you can do with your slides, you can embed it. The other thing that's really dope about this, Google Slides has that presenter mode where you go and throw the questions up and manage the screens. So does SlideBean as well. So when I share that presentation with kids, I can control their screens as we're going through it. So SlideBean is a dope application. And then finally, like Giphy or Jiffy, depending on which, I'm hard G Giphy. So I know April was watching. It's not Jiffy, it's Giphy. It's not peanut butter. So for our Giphy users, this is like a great way to like add that pop culture, meme culture into your classroom. Please do that. Like it just adds like a very cool vibe to it. The reactions are really cool. I mean, seeing Bill and Ted back, 30 years later is going to be dope. So throwing that in there. And also you put obscure references using Giphy. Kids will ask you who is that? And you can feel old, but at the same time feel knowledgeable about different things. Like there's a Optimus Prime one I use all the time, but it's Generation 1 Transformers Optimus Prime. They're like, that's not Optimus Prime. I'm like, yeah, that's the original Optimus Prime, fam. That's not this garbage time stuff y'all do. So Giphy is there, and let's use Bill and Ted. You click on Bill and Ted, the embed code is there as well. So you can just put that Bill and Ted on. You're going to make sure that responsive is on, because you don't know what kind of device your kids are going to be using. Even if you're like totally sure everybody has an iPad or a Chromebook or whatever, who says their device isn't damaged that day and they have to use their mom's phone or something else.
And responsive just means that as the screen size changes, then the GIF is going to change. So, this is a relatively universal definition of the word across web development space. Is responsive means it'll adjust to the size of your screen. It won't get cut off, because what you'll notice sometimes is when you go to a website and there's a resource like an image or a video, but you can only see 2/3 of it because it's not set to be responsive. It's just there. It's that size. It's static. And now you kind of have to figure out a way to watch it. So anytime you have the option to choose responsive, I highly suggest it.
Absolute facts.
So how does this all integrate into Canvas?
That is the question, right? So here's a page in Canvas. All right, cool. Well, I mean, it's just a blank page. We could do just this. At the very top, you're going to see your image icons. Look like a landscape. You could upload an image from your device. You could find any images you've already placed in your course, or you could find any user images that are just native to you. All right, so if I hit upload an image, I'm going to have any image from my computer. Again, I have that Unsplash deal there. So if I just want to use a picture from Unsplash, great, in URL. So let's say I'm looking for Picasso. Take a second, maybe a couple more seconds, maybe a few more seconds. Maybe Picasso's not in Unsplash.
I was doing images, an image search earlier today, and it wouldn't load. It got stuck. So actually, this is a perfect teachable moment because sometimes this will happen. In the event that trying to do it inside of the canvas doesn't work, you can always go to the Unsplash website and see if that's working.
Facts. So again, Unsplash, knowing that Unsplash exists outside of this, and Unsplash is like integrated into 5 billion places now. Great. I can go back here and I can look for Picasso inside the actual place.
That also means you're not stuck. If it stops working inside of Canvas, you're not stuck with, oh, I need one of those. You're not stuck with not being able to get any images simply because you can't get it from inside of Canvas.
And this actually works really cool. We kind of show you how to do this as well. So hit the join. Oh, I don't have the join button. Already have an account. Duh. Hit the login button. Yep, that's me. Excellent. So you'll see I don't have my avatar up there. It's all good. I'm going to click Picasso again. And when I click Picasso, I like that cube there. Wonderful. I'm going to heart it so I can remember that for next time, and then download. And what you'll notice is that's going to pop up. It's going to go on my desktop. Save it. And I'm going to have the ability to click. This is Michael Martinelli's work. Great. I can look at all his work, but I get this say thanks deal down here, right? Hey, yo, show Michael Martinelli some love. I'm going to need to copy the clipboard because when I throw this in my Canvas course, I may want to say, hey, I got this picture from Mike Martinelli. So let's go into my workroom here. It's still being silly, so we don't need it. Computer, click upload image. I'm going to find Mike Martinelli's deal. Great. That's his deal. The name of the file, like Webb's kind of mentioned at the beginning, is going to be the default alt tag for that picture, which makes no sense. It's not going to make any sense whatsoever to a screen reader. So we're going to go and we're going to fix that too. Hit the submit button, and oh my dear God, that's huge, Webbs. It's like really huge.
That's probably not going to work. How are we going to fix that?
I don't know. So that's like huge, man. It's not good. So can we just center it? Yep, we can just center it. So if I want to center it, we can do that. That works. Whenever that finishes uploads, we'll see. But we're going to hit that image option button. We're going to see that alt text button is up there right now, right? And as soon as that loads, for some reason, Canvas is being really silly. I'm going to get rid of that. So you'll notice when I get rid of the words up there, it just says describe the image. So I know it has something to do with Picasso. If the image has nothing, it's just a pretty picture that you are just using as decorative text, you have that decorative image rather, the decorative image option there. That's going to tell the screen reader, hey, that really doesn't have any significance to anything. It's just a picture of a tree or whatever. But in terms of me learning about what I need to learn about, who the devil cares if what's up there. So I'm going to say this is a building by Picasso. And that could be totally accurate or totally not accurate, whatever. So cool. Oh, I didn't actually do that. So if you do what I just did, you'll notice there's nothing in there because you have to hit that done button. Building by Picasso. Done button. All right, great. That's cool when that finally loads. That's awesome. But what if I don't want this like hulking Goliath picture in the middle? Maybe I want that to be resized someplace or something like that. That's where the concept, the idea of tables come in. So I'm going to actually delete that totally and say, I want to kind of design my space just a little bit. So it's more the way that I want it and less the way that it is. All right. So if I come up to the top here, I'm going to see my tables. Looks like 4 squares. And there's going to be an arrow pointing down. It's going to say, yo, tables are there. At this point, I'm going to say, let's make it 4 cells here. So I'm going to click the 4 cells. And when I have my tables there, I can stretch those out. I can stretch them back in. I can move them so they're over. I can move them so they're back over this way. I can do a number of things that are there, right? And
Also
again,
worth noting is essentially like a lot of websites are built with the same idea in mind. So if you go look at some of your favorite websites, you'll notice it tends to be like rectangles. Like there's a long rectangle at the top that is your nav bar. You have one area that has maybe some content. You have another area that gives you details or comments or something like that. So actual websites are kind of built with this idea in mind. And super early on, like you actually did just kind of arrange things with tables.
so I mean, tools like Canva, if you're kind of familiar with Canva or Adobe Spark, which we're going to kind of deal with later on this week, those kind of tools you can build banners really quickly for your site. You know, you can do a lot of really cool stuff like that. We're going to get to that stuff later on this week. We kind of just want to look at artwork right now. And so, if I wanted to place a picture into any of these boxes, all I need to do is click on the cells. I can click on whatever cell I want, come up to my image. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use course images because I have some stuff in here. Is it Canvas being really, really stupid right now? Maybe.
It could be.
It could be Canvas. It's being really, really stupid right now. Let's see. So you see some things I was playing around with earlier. So that's from Giphy. That's that cube deal that was there. So I'm going to add a page. Nope, don't care. Picasso was an interesting dude. I spent about half an hour reading about that guy, like deep into him. Very interesting guy.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Like a lot of people thought he was a jerk.
Also, shout out to EL Tech Tree on Twitter. They commented, "So necessary right now." Thank you guys.
So
You're most welcome. We're trying to help. If you have questions, topics, specific things that you're frustrated with, let us know. We'll do our best to work it in.
Facts. All right, there's my picture. Let's see if that goes this time. It does go. It does go. It does go. Maybe. Canvas seems. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. All right, cool. You see how it fits right inside the length of the square there. If I would make that smaller, whatever. If I'm still like, hey, I want to do some other stuff to it. Custom size is going to be the size of the square there, or the cell. I can make it medium and change it. So it goes a little smaller. Great, fine, dandy. If I want to go and take that and put it in the center, I can do that. Great. Perhaps I'm going to have that floating in the center. It doesn't really matter. Also, the boxes are temporary, or they can be temporary. If you want the borders of your table to be temporary, it can be totally temporary. It's up to you how you want to design this deal. You don't have to just put text in. You don't have to just put images inside of these as well. So again, you can embed other things inside there, and I'm just going to show you that very quickly. I'm going to put embed the Google slide show here.
Can you merge cells?
That may be beyond my expertise. I don't believe you can actually do that in there. There might be some like Canvas Ninja that's like, hey, yo, I can do it. None of those merge cells. So in theory, maybe you can go in table properties and figure it out. Maybe. So any Canvas Ninja that has been above my belt in Canvas, and my belt is generally, I figure things out and can rock and roll with stuff, merging cells. Generally what I do is, if I don't need a cell, if I need one cell, I just make that one cell and rock and roll. I just delete it until I finish with it. But
Gotcha.
This is one of the things I kind of taught myself in terms of keeping myself sane, and this might be a tip for you as well. When you start messing with embed code, one of the great things to do is to give yourself a target. So I always write text where I want the actual embed code to go, so I can just replace the text that's there. So embed code, embed the slideshow here, and I'll, software developer person, is that a good strategy? Not a good strategy?
Yeah, I mean, mapping out what you're trying to do is always a good strategy because that makes the process of putting things together a lot faster.
So
it reduces the number of mistakes because you're not trying to do two steps at once.
I generally sketch things out in a sketch pad first. So if I think about stuff, I'm like, all right, I'll draw it on my notebook and say, I want this here and this thing here, and this the slideshow's gonna be right next to this or whatever. And doing everything technical doesn't have to be done on your computer or iPad. It can be done on a sheet of paper and a pencil. Sketch it out, draw arrows, like give yourself like a plan of action and whatnot. But I'm going to keep that there, and that's going to kind of guide me to where I need to replace that text in order to add that. We're going to add this Google slideshow that's there. All right. So great, fine, dandy. I'm actually going to make that small and copy it. So good. I'm going to come in here. And I'm gonna go to the bottom, and the bottom of your view here is your raw text editor right there, your HTML raw text editor. You click that. Great. All I'm looking for is the words embed the Google slideshow here. Yep, that's what I want. I'm going to copy everything in between those carets, paste my raw editor again, and you see that my Google slideshow goes right
Okay.
where it belongs.
I have an addendum to my comment earlier.
What up?
Particularly in this case, because I'm assuming most teachers don't have experience with how to deal with HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, just as if you're wondering. I think your strategy is especially important. So if you don't know how to deal with HTML and you don't want to learn, which you shouldn't have to, you have 1,000 other things right now, then that technique of writing the words first and just replacing the words is going to be a nice workaround for having to actually understand what's happening in the HTML.
Every now and then I get something right. Every now and then. So that's how I've been doing it for years. Like literally, like I will go through and mark up all my boxes of where I'm going to put, and then I can go back and I can just look for the words. Get in between the carets, delete it, paste, and we're good. So that goes directly on it.
The embed code thing is super powerful. What you'll find, this is for audience people, what you'll find is there's a lot of tools, if not most tools, where you can use embed codes, and that way your student never has to leave the page. They can mess around with stuff right inside the page. So maybe you're someone who understands the link thing and you've been putting links in places. If you have access to an embed code with his little cheat where you just type out what you're looking for, switch to HTML view, paste it in, and then switch back, that will allow you to make it so that your students never have to leave the page.
And it's just, again, if you as creator, I can still be, I don't have nearly the software and programming knowledge that Webs does. But part of being a great person is realizing where your limitations are and how to cheat. And that's when people start, oh, he was cheating. No, cheaters are intelligent. They know what they don't know. So that's not a thing. If somebody's cheating, someone is realizing I do not have the ability to do this on this level, but there is someone who does. If that's someone who does, that makes this an intelligent process. And if you don't want people to cheat on your assessments, don't make assessments that you can cheat on. Like that's a really easy way to deal with that. So if somebody cheats, that's not the kid's fault. You just gave them an opportunity to cheat. But anyway, so those embed codes and giving yourself like those little notes there. The other thing I do often in Canvas is this. And this is the part of me being strange. All right. I leave notes to myself on the page, and I leave audio notes. So I will go up to the top. You'll see that there's a play button and a music note up there. If you click that, go to upload or record media, click it. You can go to record. All right. If you turn the webcam off and go to no video, now I've got just audio notes. All right, I didn't get to finish all this page, but my ideas for this page is underneath. We're going to put a short paragraph that the kids will read about Picasso, and then next to that box, we're going to place another example of Picasso's art. I don't know what that's going to be right now. I'll finish it in the morning. I need to get some coffee. I'm tired. And I can put that right in that box. Bada bing. When I come back to do my work, that's going to be waiting for me. All right, and I can actually, over top of it, I can hit the return button, note 8/10/2020. All right, great.
This also gives you the ability to provide audio for any text that you have on your page. So if you have a short about me paragraph, to make it more accessible for folks who are deaf of heart or hard of hearing, you can also provide the audio to it for folks who might be English learners, for folks who might be blind or low vision, so they can listen to it. Some folks just process information better listening to it versus trying to read it. So it also makes your page more accessible if you add these little audio versions of whatever text you're writing.
So you got all that stuff in there. Great. You can put any art any way you want. You can take these tables, do all kind of funky stuff. What if I don't want kids to see that I used a table to do this? Like, that's part of the magic of, oh my gosh, Mr. Lang, you're so amazing. I'm like, nah, I'm not really amazing. But I don't want you to know, like David Copperfield doesn't tell you the magic of his tricks, right? Because if you tell them the magic of the tricks, then suddenly the tricks no longer become impressive until you have to tell them because you don't feel like doing it anymore. So, great. I'm inside here. I'm going to rock and roll. I'm going to go and I'm going to say, cool. I'm going to look at the table properties here. And, I don't really care about the width or anything. If you want to, you can add a caption if you would like to add a caption in terms of that's going to help the screen reader. If you would like to have the table have a caption on it, which is awesome. But I'm going to go to advanced. And the first thing I'm going to do is say, I don't want to see any of the borders. Totally hidden. Don't want to see them. Don't change the colors or anything like that. We're going to see initially is the border outside is going to be gone. All right, great. I'm going to come in. I'm going to go to the cells. I'm going to go to my cell properties. I'm going to do the same thing. I do not want to see them. I want them to be hidden. All right, great. The only one that's left. And I'm going to go and make sure that this one is also done. And now it looks like it's a blank page, right? So kids would have no idea I took those tables and did any of that stuff. It's a blank page. I can move tables around. You can add multiple tables. You can add tables with multiple cells. You can drop multiple pictures in there. And again, remember, 80% of what we learn comes visually, right? Visuals, right? So having pictures, having video, having dynamic things, and then making sure that you alt tag those things so that those things can be described to individuals who are going to have visual impairments. Because again, 80% coming from those eyes, being able to describe things, being able to say what things are, using your voice to put into the page and say Picasso's yellows and greens and reds and evoked so and so. Really being descriptive of what you're doing is also a powerful thing. So those images, Unsplash is built into your interface. You don't have to really do it. And when Unsplash acts correctly, everything is good. Google Slides, most of us are familiar with Google Slides and how to go in and do that. That embed code is just, again, I'll do that very quickly before we get off again. File, publish to web, embed, and depending on the size of your size of the cell that you're going to make in your table, change it. Is it going to be medium? Is it going to be small? Is it going to be large? You change it the way you need to. You can always come back to this page and change the size to fit the cell that you have. But again, one of the things, the practices I have is on a sheet of paper, before I start to even play with the computer, I'm marking up a sheet of paper. I got my pencil, moving things around. What images might I use? What am I trying to do? What story am I trying to tell with this lesson? I want to take the learner from this place to this other place. This is what it needs to look like, and what tools can help me get those students to that place. All right. Any questions, Webbs?
I don't see any. There was one about, are we recording this? And I said, yes, it'll be on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, and also on our Twitter. So you can always go back and watch it there. We are going through a lot really fast, but you can go back and watch it. Also, comment from Nanette. This has been super helpful. Thank you. That is also feedback we need. So we need to know, is this helpful to you? Are there specific areas that you're most concerned about, that you're really struggling with? If you have questions, don't hesitate to post on our Facebook page, send us a message. You can tweet at us at Trust a Hoodlum. I am at Weber's Words, WEBERSWORDS, and Mike is at Chocolate Teacher, CHCLTETEACHER. You can also comment on the same video on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/intelligenthoodlumsed. It's also on our website, theintelligenthoodlums.com. If you go to the streaming tab, it has all of it'll link you to both, I think, our Facebook and our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So there's you can just search, just do the Intelligent Hoodlums Education, or no, you can now search the Intelligent Hoodlums, and we are the second thing that comes up in Google.
Facts.
So we really need that feedback so that we can make the content better, so that we know we're providing you with resources that you need and information that you can use. We really are trying to help out here for anyone who needs it, that is struggling. We want to be able to be here to support you. So just don't hesitate to reach out to us, whatever you need.
Yeah, so again, I go like really fast. Sometimes I get excited sometimes. So the recordings are there. Also, if you're, especially you see CSD, just holler at me, man. Like, look, yo, this is what's good. This is the problem we're having or whatever. We can one of the wonderful things is you can export your course. I can import the course. We can kind of look at it at the same time, and and kind of deal with it that way if you're looking at that situation. And remember, K-5 teachers, you can, and I have a template that I'm going to put on the comments probably later on tonight or tomorrow that is simply a template that has buttons at the bottom, 3 buttons that go external links, a button for your school website, a button for your Google Classroom, and a button for whatever your parent communication tool, Class Dojo, Class Tag, whatever you're using. Keep it really simple. Your kids are probably more familiar with Google Classroom than they're going to be with Canvas. You are also probably more familiar with Google Classroom than you are with Canvas. Give yourself an opportunity to learn Canvas as well with let's take the year, kind of play around with stuff, and for like the 21-22 school year, I'm gonna be ready to roll because I've experimented, I've kind of delved deep into what Canvas can offer, and hopefully we'll be face to face with students and we can kind of do a blended model that's gonna be very powerful. But I don't think at this point putting the pressure on yourself to learn the ins and outs of this interface, as well as also explain the ins and outs to your families and to your students, that's a lot of pressure for 10 days. And I think, don't beat yourself up. Don't feel as if you're like, oh my God, I'm not getting this or whatever. Don't listen to people who are like, oh, I understood it. It was the easiest thing in the world. Like, I've been working with Canvas for like 6 years now, and there's still pieces when webs ask you about the merging. There's probably a way to merge cells. I've never needed to use it because I just worked around it because it's something I didn't know how to use. So we're gonna keep it like 100 and keep it simple. Simple does not mean less than. Simple just means I can understand it. I don't need a translator. Albert Einstein, if you can't explain it to a six-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. So that is the hustle. That's how I always try to think about how I do things. Complex does not mean better, man. It doesn't mean webs.
So a couple of comments come in. I feel like this is the what are it, doorknob questions, like when you go to the doctor and you're about to leave and then you're like, oh wait, I have questions. So a couple comments. Christia says, thank you, this is very helpful. Sometimes I feel like I don't know what I need to hear until I hear it. I'm unconsciously incompetent right now. Totally okay. She adds, your template is very helpful. It helps me to know what is possible. I like simple right now.
Word.
And then
I like simple too.
Tony wants to know, how do you find your templates in Commons?
So I'll have the template. I got to take the Deering stuff off of it and rebrand it. So give me like a couple hours tonight. It'll be in there by tomorrow morning. You'll see just search Michael Lang, Lang, no E at the end, inside of the Commons, and you'll find it. And I've got a couple like riffs on that. I've got a kindergarten one I'm kind of looking at, but they're all, let's not force K-5 kids into Canvas. 6 through 12, it's more of a secondary tool. It's not that Canvas can't be used with K-5. It's just we need to be beside our students when we roll this out to make it, to help them navigate a lot easier, in my opinion. Google Classroom, something that most of them are familiar with, or Seesaw, or whatever else your LMS du jour is. But remember, K-5 in Clark County, you only have to utilize Canvas for parent communication, not for content dispersal or creation.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. If you find this valuable, share it with somebody. Share it wherever you think someone will benefit from this information. Let us know feedback-wise. Like, are we providing you with information that's helpful? Is there something you want to know? And I think that's it.
I mean, we're here. We're learning like with everybody else. It's fun. Also, like, this is collaboration time, man. Like, if you're gonna do something dope, and I'm gonna do something dope, let's build this PLN that's not a school district PLN. Let's build a district-wide PLN. Let's build a statewide PLN. Let's build a countrywide PLN. Let's build a worldwide PLN where people are leveraging their different abilities, because there's no reason where you should have to teach your kids by yourself now. And if you should hopefully have a mindset where you can bring other teachers from other places and we can co-teach classes, or we can take shifts of teaching kids rather than the brick and mortar, my classroom is the hill in which I die on and no one is allowed in, kind of utilizing a mindset in which we are far better if we work together. The stress is also going to be exceedingly lower if you have a scenario in which you don't have to come up with every lesson plan and every activity and whatnot. I'm really itching to do some podcasting. I'm really itching to do some broadcasting as well. So if you're out there and you want to do some things like that, Let's link up and mind meld and throw those things out there.
Cool.
All right. God
We'll see
bless
y'all
Belgium.
tomorrow.
Holla at your boy, Kurt Kleinen. Holla at your boy. What's up to all the ADEs? Everybody showed up. Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We'll have some fun and play around. Come with questions. Don't come with questions. We'll supply the popcorn.
Yep. Bye,
But
everybody.
we gotta go out. Yep.